If you're a busy professional man at your heaviest weight, you don't feel confident anymore, don't like what you see in the mirror, this video is for you. I'll show you 3 shoulder exercises that can help you lose weight, look more lean, strong and confident. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I'm making a new video about weight loss advice for you men every week. I used these strategies to lose 60 pounds in 8 months and kept it up for 13 years, and I've helped dozens of men just like you lose up to 60 pounds and finally escape the yo-yo dieting cycle. If you're tired of constantly losing and gaining the same weight, I want to help you get to your healthy self without giving up the foods that you love. But one exercise you need to use is targeting the front delt, because the front delt is the biggest part of the shoulders that makes you create this illusion of having like 3D shoulders and also a V-taper. In order to have a V-taper, especially meaning that you have broad shoulders and a small waist that makes you look even more broad, leaner and stronger, you need to of course be in a calorie deficit where you are losing weight all around your body, and that helps you have this lean toned waist. And then you are building the front part of the shoulder with exercise that is called seated military press, where you are having your arms just like this and then you have the barbell like this. The reason why it's in a Smith machine is because you don't have any spotter and you can put on a lot of weight. So in the beginning you are not feeling what kind of weight that you should put on, so you're just starting out with just the bar, and then you are taking a breath and then you are pushing the bar up, and then you are slowly inhaling again 2 seconds, because that's where the most muscle trauma is created. And muscle trauma is just a way to break down the muscle tissues, and through rest and recover you are going to build even more muscle. With the rest and recover from the diet, you are typically eating 45% of your daily calories coming from high protein, and that makes you build more muscle and losing fat even faster, and have 40% of your daily calories come from carbs to recover faster. So when you are having, for example, 60 seconds after you've been doing 12 reps, just get some blood flow out and have a mind-muscle connection where you're having a good mindset of where the front part of the shoulder is. You can feel the muscle tension, and then you are waiting 60 seconds and then you add on more weight, like 2.5 kilos or 5 kilos, depending on what you are able to use, and still having a good technique. The reason why you want to wait 60 seconds is because the more intense your workout is, the higher chances it is for you to create the right environment for your muscles to grow even faster. So then you are adding even more weights on, and that is something that's called progressive overload, where you're constantly trying to hit bigger weights. For example, you're performing 10 to 12 reps with 1 to 2 reps before failure, which basically means that you're not able to push yourself further, and then you're trying again, put 2.5 kilos or 5 kilos on top and still performing that, and you have a warm-up set and then you do that like 3 normal sets. So that's the first exercise. And if you want to lose the weight for good and become the most healthiest version of yourself, just like you saw with me and my client transformation in the beginning of the video, there's a link in the description and also in the comment section where you can apply for coaching with me, and we'll see if you and I are fit to work together. After this exercise, you go over to dumbbell shoulder press. You always start out with compound movements, which is the first exercise because you have most energy. Then you go over to this where you are targeting the front part of the shoulder just from a different angle. And the reason why you want to do dumbbell shoulder press is that you have more range of motion with doing dumbbells, and you're just making sure that you are pushing a lot of energy out and also breaking down this muscle tissue even more, and you are just depleting all the energy that you have left in regards to targeting the front shoulder. And after you've been doing that, you go over to something that's called lateral raises, because shoulder is divided into 3 heads. The first head is the front part of the shoulder, which we already addressed with targeting it from 2 exercises. Then you go over to lateral raises where you are having like 2 dumbbells, and then you want to, for example, take the 2 dumbbells just like when you are, for example, watering plants, and then you take the 2 dumbbells and then you want to lift it up. But when you are lifting it up, you should be sure that you are pulling your shoulder back and also having the elbows in the same line all the time while you're taking a breath, and then you are pushing the air out. So you have like 1 second up and then you are lowering it with 2 seconds, because that's where most muscle trauma is created. But you also want to make sure that you are lifting with the elbow and not with the traps, because sometimes when the weight is too big, it can be that you are using the neck muscles to assist you with pulling up, and you should also stand with your shoulder feet apart and not like bounce when you're taking up the weight. So you need to figure out an accurate way to use the weight and be able to lift the weights without anything. So it's better always to start out low. And I always found that lateral raises was the most difficult exercise because it's difficult to figure out where the shoulder is. But if you're actually able to pinpoint where the side lateral is, it's easy for you to target that, and it should just be something that you are able to do on a consistent basis. You are just getting stronger from week to week. And I know that if you are someone who's at your heaviest weight right now and you don't feel confident wearing shirts or suits, and especially taking off your clothes because you are at the beach or at the pool, that makes you feel embarrassed and you don't want to say yes to, for example, vacations with your family, and you just don't like what you see in the mirror and pictures anymore, I think that this video definitely will help you, because if you are following calorie deficit diet and also working out the right way, you are able to build wide broad shoulders and decrease all the fat around your waist area, so you are able to wear clothes and bathing shorts without feeling that you are embarrassing yourself, and you are also able to feel more confident. So after you've been doing this first set with, like, let's see, 3 kilos, then you also want to write into your journal how it's going, and then you want to wait 60 seconds again, and then you start out with another weight that could be 5 kilos, and you try to do the same things with 10 to 12 reps again, where you're just doing it 1 to 2 reps before failure, because you want to push yourself. Always try to add more weight, but sometimes you're not able to do it. Maybe instead of 10 to 12 reps, you're only able to do 10 reps, and that's okay. The next week, through a rest and recover, you're getting stronger. Maybe you are able to lift 12 reps next week with 5 kilos. So that's a way for you to signal that you're actually doing something great, because sometimes it's just not so easy. And I know that with you following this workout and diet plan, you are able to not feel like you are crashing in the afternoon, because you are not figuring out how much you need to eat. And if you are able to eat the right way, just like I mentioned in all my other videos, you are going to have some sustainable energy levels that makes you feel that you have more energy after work, so you can go out and play with your, for example, your family and your kids, and go out with dinner, and you don't feel like you are out of breath anymore when you're taking stairs. And then after you've been doing 3 sets of this lateral raises like standing, you also want to do with lateral raises where you sit it down, because that's where you are not able to, for example, bounce with the weight when you're doing lateral raises. You're just sitting down, and all the stress is going to get into the lateral raises, and makes it more targeted, and you're able to push a lot of more weight. So that's something I really would advise you to do, because I think that having broader, wider shoulders is the most beautiful thing, because it's just easier to create this V-taper, and you makes you look very strong. You don't even need to say a word. If you're putting on your suit, especially when you're going out to events or you're doing presentation, it demands more authority and also confidence from you. And I know that if you are keep making the excuses of who you used to be, say like for 20 years I used to be this person, but you still deep down you know that you're embarrassed about who you are right now. So you should just be able to push through it, and eventually through compounding of all these small steps with weight training, just like the way that I'm sharing with you, and also with the diet part. And when you are hitting weight loss plateaus of not losing 1 to 2 pounds every week, you should always bump up your calories with decreasing it with 200 calories more. Let's say you are 300 calories, then you subtract that with 200 calories more, and then the first 2 weeks you're not doing any cardio. Then you implementing cardio of 4 cardio sessions of 20 minutes on a stationary bike or a cross trainer where there's some resistance, and you're burning even more calories. And then you're also doing, for example, 6,000 steps first 2 weeks, and then if you're not losing 1 to 2 pounds anymore, you are adding 2,000 steps even more, because that helps you break through this weight loss plateau. Is always about expanding more calories. The last head of the shoulder is rear delt, and that is mostly something that's targeted when you're working out your back area. And that is something that if you're doing pull movements like this, for example, if you are working out your back, you are, for example, taking barbell rows and you're pulling like this, you're automatically targeting the rear part of the back and also the shoulders. And if you really want to target the shoulder even more, you are using pec deck, where it's like two handles and then you are just pulling the two handles back to 90 degrees where you are able to target it. It doesn't need so much volume, but I usually just prefer to train the rear delts when I'm working out my back, because you get a lot of stimulus from the back training, so I don't necessarily just need to do that on the shoulder days. So I know that these tips is going to help you build a leaner, broad, stronger and more confident look as a professional man, so you can look more healthy and become the most healthiest and confident version of yourself. And if you want to lose the weight for good and become the most healthiest version of yourself, just like you saw with me on my client transformation in the beginning of the video, there's a link in the description, also in the comment section, where you can apply for coaching with me, and we'll see if you and I are fit to work together, and I'll help build a game plan to help you lose the weight for good.